everyone. We are so honored to have you today to kick off Latino Heritage Month. I'm Sonia Sharifi. I will introduce the session for today. Joined with me today are our co-moderators and our co-host of the Center for Global Partnerships and Learning at Pepperdine University Graduate School of Education and Psychology, Dr. Gabriela Miramontes, Dr. Asia Ghazi, Dr. Maria Brame, and Sue Ellen Schneider. We are honored to have our distinguished keynote speaker, Dr. Aldo Boitano de Moras, with us here today. I am honored to introduce Dr. Boitano Moras, but allow me to introduce you with a biography of Dr. Moras. Dr. Aldo Boitano works with individuals and organizations so they can make an impact in the world and elevate their leadership. Currently, Dr. Boitano is the founding partner of Executive Development, a world-class consulting and cultural transformation organization. Since 2017, he has been the founder and CEO of Clean Tech Lithium, a company based in the UK and listed since February of 2022 on the London Stock Exchange with a stock market value of over $35 million. Dr. Boitano oversees 3 lithium projects that come with sustainable extraction methods and a very low carbon footprint in northern Chile. Dr. Boitano graduated from GSEP with an EDD in organizational leadership. Please join us in welcoming Dr. Aldo Boitano.
Thank you for that introduction. And the last time we met abroad from the US was in Brussels, wasn't it? In a leadership session with Sonia. Let me just share my screen here and you'll see a photo of that day. Well, this is a very nice invitation. I'm very thankful of this journey of discovering Latino influence, not only in the US, but in the world and beyond. It's a US festivity that started with 1 day and moved into a month. And it touches various countries. This is me in a very different way. That's trying to beat a record of climbing Mount Washington in the coldest day with the wind chill factor, with a professor from Wharton, my cousin, who I'm very fond of. I'm the founder and CEO of Clean Tech Lithium, as Sonia said, a leadership consultant, and 2021 EDO graduate. I was raised in the mountains, born in the mountains, in a copper mine. I was educated in Germany, Spain, and the US and Chile, and have worked and traveled around the world. I love meeting new people. Mountaineering is a good excuse to do so. I've been in 42 states of the US and counting, and most of Latin America, and been in all the continents with this passion of mine. I'm going to start before talking about the Latino influence and everything a little bit shortly about my life. K2, the second highest mountain, it's an expedition I took and produced a book, and another book, Climbing in Africa. Patagonia, one of my first climbs was the Fortress Mountain. Me, much younger, doing some rock climbing. Climbing in the Andes of Peru, this mountains that I've climbed, and been K2 again. A high altitude, 20-some thousand feet campsite, with no room to fall down. Alaska, Mount Denali, Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa, Antarctica again, Mount Kenya in Africa, the second highest mountain, climbing in the Alps, climbing in Patagonia. Me and my friends in Antarctica in an expedition in 1991. Just a couple of weekends ago, here where I'm staying in the south of Chile, just going up at the mountain here, the volcano. One of my most treasured climbs with Sir Chris Bonington in northern Chile, one of the, if not the most famous mountaineer right now, or most famous expedition leader of the world. And again, rock climbing. This will take me into the lithium and all the work I've been doing recently, trying to create a sustainable path for producing sustainable lithium to be able to serve the world and the demanding traceable lithium for car batteries and the electric vehicle revolution. A lot of photos of London. Been practicing a lot every week on how to talk and how to promote the company, as the CEO actually did this morning, meeting in person with people. So also I got involved in the Internet of Things. I'm in civil engineering as a background, and then an MBA in UNC, and then the EDD in Pepperdine. Chasing the stock has been going up, and this is the project and what we're doing to study the resources and everything. But my passion, this is a lab in China. We're producing lithium with direct lithium extraction. But my passion is it's leadership and helping organizations and people and from all walks of life. We've partnered with Pepperdine to bring a group of people down to Chile to work on social work outdoors and development of skills. Dr. Laura Ensberg, also from Pepperdine, is part of the team and is helping me along with the Chilean team that we have our distinguished professors, Rafael Mies, Natalia Jankovic, we have in the team our executive director, Constanza Parra. And we're just, you can check online what we do and on Instagram and LinkedIn and all those things. We give lectures talking about the mountaineering and how mountaineering, we learn teamwork and leadership from there. I was a past board member of ILA, the International Leadership Association, for many years. We produced some books. This is Dr. Schockman. That's the reason of that book that I came to Pepperdine, and she's Vanessa Hernandez. She works at the court, International Court of The Hague, and we produced first with Dr. Schockman this book, Breaking the Zero-Sum Game, and with the three people you saw in the photos, this book about peace, reconciliation, and social justice. I developed programs, outdoor programs for Wharton, spent 5 New Year's Eve in Antarctica teaching leadership to Wharton, work with various schools and business in the US, and I live there. But at the same time, I work with helping organizations like Untecho. This is the team in Chile of executive development in a university. And I attended 4,000 unprivileged kids per year on Chile and Argentina to teach them social skills to the mountaineering. But let's get to the presentation. Where did all this begin? You may be knowledge of Latino traditions, but do you know when, where, and how it all began? Well, gotta change something here, I think. Over 200 years ago, Mexico and Chile declared their independence from Spain on September 16th and 18th. Actually, here is a holiday. We're 2 days from our national Independence Day. In 1821, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua followed, and they did it all on September 15. And that originally was declared on Congress, in the US Congress, as a 1 day and then turned into a month. The Latino influence in the US is big. I want to touch on a few things. The oldest continually inhabited American city is St. Augustine, Florida. It was first explored by Spaniards in 1513. That's how long the influence of Latino goes in the US, the first city. Latinos have embraced, not only Latinos, but from all over the world, but Latinos in particular look at the US, United States of America, as a great beacon of hope, the land of opportunity, and a place where everyone with determination, self-discipline, and hard work can achieve his or her goals. We as Latinos embrace the ideas that founded this nation. We believe in the American dream, in self-determination, in liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The Statue of Liberty, of course, is a big symbol on the East Coast. Latinos bring our own traditions, culture, language, values, but worth ethics and ideals to the great American table. But at the same time, the melting pot works, where we enrich the culture through diversity, hard work, compassion, passion, and an unwavering commitment to make the US better than it already is. The contribution of Latinos to the defense of the nation, the arts, sports, public service, research, development, nonprofit organizations, management, civil rights, politics, business, agriculture, and the service industry enable America to maintain its competitiveness, relevance, and position in the global landscape as the leader of the free world. Latinos account for 18% of the US population. 60 is the second largest Spanish-speaking country of the world after Mexico, with 61 million people that speak Spanish. Passed a long time ago, Spain and Colombia, who have around 40 million people. But it's not only the influence in the US and coming from Latin America into the US and vice versa, but through the whole world. I was talking today to an Irish person who works for the lithium development company. And I said, do you realize that take out of your diet, he's actually a vegetarian, take out chocolate, take out corn, take avocado, take tomatoes and potatoes, chipotle and chili. What will the world be without chocolate bars, chips and guacamole, and fries with ketchup? Germany, is in particular France and the US and of course the whole United Kingdom. The potatoes came from here. But not only that, the way we produce foods and the different varieties that are very rich through Latin America. And again, this is not only a view of the Latinos in the US, but the whole Latin America influencing the world. Chilean civas coming from Chile, where I'm actually doing this speech. Argentinian steak, Uruguayan chimichurri, Peruvian ceviche, Venezuelan arepas, Colombian dulce de leche, corn with butter and cheese from Ecuador, Central America tamales, and extensive Mexican cuisine and Tex-Mex cuisine with tacos, tortillas, enchiladas, and a very much regional also food from Mexico who influences the US in a big time. Actually, I have a note here somewhere. 90% of non-Latinos think that the great influence and the greatest contribution of Latinos is food to the culture. Who was with 9 billion streams last year, the most streamed artist in 2020 and 2021? Bad Bunny from Puerto Rico. It's the first time ever Latin America was the year's most streamed artist on Spotify. This reggaeton artist, and now he's a movie star, beat Justin Bieber. But what will be the world without Shakira, Luis Fonsi, Daddy Yankee, Pailita, Ricky Martin, Marc Anthony, Mariah Carey, Juanes, Gloria Estefan, J-Lo, Demi Lovato, J Balvin, Christina Aguilera, Carlos Santana, Pitbull, Camila Cabello, Selena Gomez, Maluma, and I could go on and on and on with the influence and world scale, and also, of course, in the US of the Latinos and Hispanic people. On sports, I took just one example of Mexican-American Oscar de la Hoya, holds many boxing records. 1/3 of Major League Basketball players are Latinos. The Hall of Fame made the Viva Baseball exhibition permanent to celebrate Latino influence on the US sports. The football is growing in popularity. The centennial Copa America, or American Cup, held in the US, was a very big televised and big stream event with many people following. Of course, women's soccer in the US, and even though it was born in England, it's the most favorite sport of most Latino countries. So it's football, FUTFOL. It's how we all call it. What about in TV and shows? In past decades, Latinos were represented in all show business as stereotypes. That has changed. Ugly Betty, Jane the Virgin, Reina del Sur is the Hispanic name of a remake now in the US of called the Queen of the South. Networkers, Univision, Telemundo, and journalists who go all around the planet, from CNN and Espanol to based in Atlanta to show the Latino community, not only in the US, but around the planet, their news in Spanish. It's always been said that Spanish is the fourth most speaking language after English, was the first one, Chinese, Mandarin, Hindu, and then comes Spanish. But if you do the math with as a native language, it's the second one, Spanish. People who are born into Spanish account for the second largest language after Chinese. Like I said, 61 million people speak Spanish in the US. What about Latinos in the political arena, representing, to make a few names, Marco Rubio or Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who's here. The 2020 election meant that 32 million Hispanics were eligible to vote. 19 million did. It's a growing and growing presence, and the 18% that Latinos represent are more and more getting into the arena of the political representation in the US. On social media, many Latinos are highly motivated on social media. They're early adopters of new technology. Selena Gomez, for example, has more than 300 followers on Instagram. There's an ongoing influence of Latino, and they use this platform to transmit their beliefs, their lifestyle, language, look, ideas, and it's a growing trend. And with internet, you can reach people in all corners of the world, and also again in the Latino community in the US. Theater goers like have noted the Latino influence since Hamilton. Latino actor, singer, and filmmaker, and songwriter and playwright Manuel Miranda wrote and starred this unprecedented sung and rapped American music. Latinos on the big screen: John Leguizamo, Michael Peña, Oscar Isaac, Wilmer Valderrama, Jennifer Lopez, Zoe Saldaña, Eva Longoria, Sofía Vergara, Salma Hayek, Michelle Rodriguez, Chick Marin, Andy Garcia, Mark Consuelos, Freddie Prinze, Pedro Pascal from Chile in The Mandalorian, Diego Boneta from Mexico. They're all in the big screen, and we share them and we see them. And again, sometimes they can be portrayed as stereotypes, but more and more they're portrayed in their roles and what they bring to the big screen and the stories they're trying to tell us. Latinos are winning Oscars. Alfonso Cuarón, Guillermo del Toro, Sebastián Leilo, Alejandro González Iñárritu, Gustavo Santaolalla, Jorge Drexler, Benicio del Toro, Rita Moreno, Anthony Quinn, and Jose Ferrer. Some for directing, some by acting, have been always winning actors, winning Oscars. The influence of Latino on the culture in terms of beauty standards, how people look, the style, the clothing, is considered very highly fashionable in many parts of the US. Of course, Oscar de la Renta, Carolina Herrera, Narciso Rodriguez, but also Sarah, who brings this high, good-looking clothing at an affordable price into mainstream. And it's not only Latinos buying these things, but the whole people around the world, and in the US is not the exception. Like I said, the language, the shared language is a cultural glue. Mexico has the largest population of native speakers in the world. I said the US has the second largest of native speaking people. But if you count the people who speak language, Spanish as a second language, it comes up to 61 million. Family is very important in Latin America, and it happens, of course, of the Latino families in the US as well. Some people say we have Thanksgiving every week. We get to it. Here it's raining. I'm in the south of Chile, and we're already doing a barbecue tomorrow. People are coming over to celebrate our Independence Day, and then it'll be somebody else's turn on the next day, and so on. And we'll be going around in different houses over the weekend with my family. The most important thing for a Latino is family. We have extended family. We call our people who are not relatives by blood, we call them tios or tias, uncles or aunts. We call a lot of people, we call them brothers or hermanos, and they're not, we're not in blood brothers or sisters, but we do, and it's very common. It's very common to find 3 generations living in the same house. Over the weekend came my best friend with his daughter and his mom. They're sleeping somewhere in this house, 3 generations. So I'm speaking not only of Latinos, but myself. it's funny how we instantly locate other Latinos. I lived and worked in the US 8 years. I will go to all the celebrations, the Cinco de Mayo, the day of Central American independence, Peruvian, Brazil. We will get together, and especially when we are abroad. The traditions are being blending in the US. The Day of the Dead has been coming to Halloween. It's so common to listen to a mariachi band, and eating tamales at Christmas are just a few examples of the Latino traditions that have adopted by many Americans. Some Latino holidays, such as Cinco de Mayo, are only celebrated in the United States. Latino Americans have long played an integral role in America's rich culture. By the way, 4 out of every 5 Latinos in the US are citizens, and they're not immigrants who are coming into the US recently. It's generations of Latinos, and they've been living in the country for a while. And this has been an integral role in America's rich culture, heritage, and the building of the great nation. I'm going to stop in 3 people around the history, and there's many Latinos, of course. I'm going to stop on Dolores Huerta, Luis Alvarez, and David Benes Berkeley. This presentation recognizes these 3 Latinos who have mixed their talents and legacies into the fabrics of our nation, of the US. David Benes Berkeley joined the US Army in 1916 at the age of 17. He went to France for World War I. On November 9 in 1919, he volunteered on winter to swim across the Meuse River to locate enemy positions. He did it successfully. On coming back on this freezing river, he reached where the US Army was, and because of the coldness of the water, he drowned and died. In 1919, he was awarded the Congress of Medal, the Honor Congress of Medal. Also the Honor Creek on the US, the Honor Creek from France, and even Italy get him the Cruz Mentor Sauma medal. In 1989, the US Army recognized him as the first Latino medal honor recipient. Luis Alvarez, he won the Nobel Prize Award in 1980. His theory that explained that the extinction of dinosaurs was due to an asteroid hitting Earth and then creating a big cloud and covering the sun with dust and that changing the climate was a 30-year controversy that just in 2020, an international panel completely confirmed his theory. Out of his theory, there have been a lot of findings and work in Central America on the Azteca culture based on his discovery. And last but not lastly, Dolores Huerta. Dolores Huerta was while working on her own farm and trying to motivate to organize their workers, Dolores Huerta met Cesar Chavez. You can see many Cesar Chavez streets all over the US. And this duo quickly discovered that the vision of improving realities for farmer works was the one that they shared. In 1962, they both launched the National Farm Work Association. Huerta was key. And this is something also very important in Latin America. Women are an important and key part of everything we do. And it's something we still need to do better and empower them more and more. But in 1962, thanks of her work, and she was instrumental from there on till 1975 to the first enactment of the agricultural labor regulation. It was the first type of regulation of its kind in the US. This allowed farm workers from California the right to obtain and bargain for better wages and a dignified position in the workplace, in this case, in the farms. I hope you learn a little more about Latino heritage. and I'm open for any questions or reflections. Let me just stop here and so I can see everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Aldo. We have a question from the audience regarding the book you mentioned toward the beginning. Could you please give us the title, perhaps?
Yes. The title, one is Breaking the Zero-Sum Game, and the other is Peace and Reconciliation. You can go to Amazon and just click my name, Aldo Boitano. If you click Aldo, a bunch of shoes and purses will come up. But if you click my last name, the books will come up on Amazon. Yeah, Peace and Reconciliation in the 21st Century. And this is books that we edit with two more people. I'm the third. And we wrote the introduction, did the call for papers, and it's a contribution for many people around the planet through the International Leadership Association. Actually, the interim dean of GSP, she read the second book before being published and gave us a very nice review, Dr. June Snyder. So.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We have a question that says, would you please share your slides after the presentation? And
yes, I put it.
Question...
I put it here on the chat, but you feel free to download it and share it. Yes, the second part of the question.
If there is an opportunity to be involved in your respective Chile and Antarctica projects.
Yes. Well, you are leading that. You, Asia, Dr. Gabi and Dr. Sonia and Dr. Asia are leading this trip, and you will send, I suppose, all the marketing material and everything. It's always been Chile and the US, even though we're really far apart, we shared, we always been, I think Chile is one of the most pro-American countries, the way we work and do things. Churches have been coming to assist, economies have been coming to Chile and vice versa. Everybody's talking about Patagonia founder giving his multi-billion-dollar company to preserve the planet, but he and what it used to be her CEO, Christine Tompkins, and then who is the widow of Douglas Tompkins, who was the founder of the North Face and Sprit. Thanks to them, we have Patagonia preserved forever. They created the first national private park, and then went on and on, adding more and more land of philanthropy to preserve this pristine environment, Patagonia, both in Chile and Argentina. And then they donated everything to the government. So we have that in Santiago, the business sector, in Northern Chile, Americans involved with the mines. So I'm sure from this trip to Chile, organized by Dr. Gabi and her team, more things will come out. But also Chileans have kind of exported our non-for-profit work with Un Techo para Chile, a roof for Chile, whose kind of Habitat for Humanity was coming down from the US to Central America. This is going up from Chile up, and many other organizations, and not only Chile, of course, Argentina, Brazil, you name it, Peru, all the countries have been setting up NGOs, and that's part of the trip, to engage with local NGOs and actually do things for the people here. They'll happily be part of that and support that. And you can write me and send me mails, and I can always tell you what to do, who to connect. In Chile, and it's the same for the rest of Latin America, with two people, you get to the president. It's like a family. You just ask someone, that person, and then you get to the president. It's quite small.
Thank you. So once again, yes, we would welcome your participation in those trips. Look out for a flyer from our office, the Center for Global Partnerships and Learning. And if you want to get involved, just email any one of us, and we'd be happy to share information. But there is an opportunity to get involved. So we encourage you to save the dates, get involved, and let us know how you want to participate.
Yeah, Dr. Schockman, it's part of the chat and everything. He's the person behind the two books that we did together, and the reason I choose Pepperdine and did my degree there. It's also my partner, Rafael Mies, who's also a doctor from IES, a PhD from IES, Spain. And I don't know if you can connect with each other, but if not, I can connect you, Dr. Shaman, of course, you know. I don't know if we have more questions. I don't know, what do you think, Latinos? Would you think that we would not have chocolate, we would not have French fries, we'll not have avocado. Imagine the world without those things. It's a lot, among many other things, many other contributions. I was short on the business and science contribution of Latinos. I could go and everything on the, and there's one of the most respected ever, more brave U.S. Army section was a section of indigenous native people from the U.S., from the various tribes and Latinos who fought on World War II. And I could go on and on. If you really research the impact of Latinos over the U.S. history, and of course on the world scale, it's immense. It's big, and I'm happy that the U.S. celebrates this with a whole month to be able to get to know and address this big heritage and influence.
Thank you. We have a question from Brittany Johnson.
Hi, so not so much a question. You asked what we thought, and I appreciate your presentation tonight, especially starting out telling us about yourself and us just getting to know you outside of you as the presenter tonight. And I also appreciate you sharing your slides. I'm a second grade teacher, and we did start our Hispanic Heritage Month today on campus, which everyone is really excited about. But I loved that you were able to share these with us so that I can look through them and help modify them as I plan out my social studies and writing units and art units. And we focus on trailblazers in second grade. So you highlighting the last three, I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. Because, you have these standard kind of groups you highlight, but I've never heard of Luis Alvarez or David Venice Barkley. So it'll be great to look a little bit more into that my own self and then be able to share that with my class. So
yes, well, thank you. Happy to help. I don't know if we have any other questions or comments. Anybody else want to comment? Yes.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Given your globe-trotting ways and the fact that you've been to so many countries and so many places and you've done so many things, do you feel that as a Latino, what has been your experience as you encounter new cultures, as you enter new markets? We can't leave our identities behind. So can you speak a little to what that experience has been like?
Yeah, it's always when you're from another country and you have a different accent and all those things, people look at you and they try to connect with you and you try to connect with them. But after a while, regardless of the country where you are, in this case it's Chile and I live abroad and so on, you find something. It's the same, we're human beings. Somebody here who passed away a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, Humberto Maturana, and he's credited in part of the lifestyle coaching and all his influence, even though he's a biologist. He always say, treat others as valid others, as legitimate others. And if you do that, if you come with your full senses open and ready to learn, and not say, oh, we have this in my country, oh, this is similar to this, but you welcome the diversity, the multicultural diversity that is all over anywhere in the US, anywhere in the world, but anywhere, any city, any village. If you're open to that and you experience that diversity here, then you have the doors open. And then most businesses, and I think Latinos were good at that, most businesses and most things that I've done start from a casual conversation, sometimes trying to help or to connect. And then you have 1 book, 2 books with Dr. Schockman, and I enrolled in a doctoral degree. And then just somebody from Australia wants to know about the lithium market, and we ended up partnering, and then it's a multi-million-dollar company. It's just that openness. And Latin America is a country of immigrants, even sometimes even more than the US, especially countries who didn't have large populations. Mexico and Peru had large populations, Central America too, but down here, not so much indigenous population originally. and so we also have influence from various parts, and we can connect and make a way. But again, treat others with dignity and treat others as equal, as one person is one vote. All those things are important, and to give the opposite view, when you are raised up in Latin America with a lot of benefits and things because of the different classes and different access to various things, and you think that can earn you something in the world, you're gonna waste your time and money and nothing will happen. So that's and it's changing all over Latin America, but that's part of that's something we have to deal with as we go out and abroad and try to connect.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good question. I'm sorry that took me so long to answer, but it's a good question, reflective question. I don't know if you guys have any reflection or any yourselves.
So Dr. Aldo, actually, I have a question for you. About 10 years, okay, well, not 10, maybe 12 years ago, I was doing culinary classes and I learned a lot about Latin America and the different dishes. And like you were just saying, there's so much diversity, you know, and we learned about like the different dishes and how there's like Arab influence and Chinese influence because a lot of these people immigrated to South America.
Latin America, yeah.
Yeah, so I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about that, you know, like maybe in Chile, especially like, you know, immigrants, you know, like, do you see other immigrants there? Do you see different religions? I'm curious to know.
Yeah. Well, we've had a big immigration just recently. We were not so long ago, 2 or 3 years ago, 18 million people. We're now 19 and a half. We receive 1.5 million people of immigration, especially from Venezuela, but also from Haiti and Peru, has been always. But this is called a fusion cuisine. One of the best cuisines of the world is, of course, Mexico, and then Italy, France, and their influence around the planet, India. But Peru, one of the best cuisines is Peru. And what does Peru do? They do something called Nikkei. It's a mix of Japanese and Peruvian. and then in Chile now we have mixes of Venezuelan and Chilean, Colombian and Chilean, Argentinian and Uruguayan. And you can go to any town in Latin America and you'll find Chinese restaurants. And of course Italian restaurants and French restaurants and burgers from the US but the fusion at high level, the fusion cuisine is really changing everything. It's the same for all Latin America. We have clubs like the Palestinian club, the Israeli club, the German, the Croatian, and people get there. They're one, second, third generation of immigrants in the German clubs, and they eat the food of the country where their ancestors came, but at the same time they welcome what they do. So it's a big melting pot that is happening in a big scale on cultures and cuisines and everything. We all through Latin America, including Brazil, we celebrate Oktoberfest. in Chile, we don't answer the phone hello, we say aló, just as in Germany. The word in Chile for pie is Kuchen. In Chile, we say Kuchen. You can tell Kuchen everyone, and they'll understand that's a pie, and that's a German word. And we could go on and on with how things are connected and where they come from. Immigration is shaping the world, and Latin America is not away from that change. We're learning Creole with the Haitians. Chile did not have much Afro-American population, I don't know, 10 years ago, maybe a few basketball players, but now it's getting more and more important in our country. And not only that, they're part of the soccer team, they're part of the athletics, they're part of the business community, they're part of various, they're getting really inserted in the country. And so it's an ongoing changing of melting pot and traditions on all sorts, not only in the food, but it's a good question. I encourage you to find in California a Peruvian Japanese restaurant. you'll really enjoy that. I'm sure there's good ones over there.
Yeah, it's interesting you said that. I found a restaurant that's Mexican and Lebanese infused, which I thought was really interesting. So there's a lot of diversity like that. Haven't seen a Peruvian Japanese one, but I'll be on the lookout for that. I'm sure there's some.
Yeah, Nikkei, they're called Nikkei. Nikkei is how they call it.
So wait, so does that mean that they're mixing the Japanese fusion? So that means there's sushi as well.
Yeah, excellent sushi with avocado. Well, you're doing it too in California. Sushi with salmon and flamed, and yeah, the avocado wasn't part of the sushi in Japan originally, but thanks to California and other countries and other places of the world, it's part of now the sushi part. We eat avocados here for breakfast every morning. We have avocado toast, most of the country, part of the breakfast.
Yeah. That's interesting. And I know I don't want to hog up too much time. I know other people might have questions, but just really quickly, Chile is known to have had very large earthquakes. Right, very large earthquakes. I'm not sure how it pans out in similarity to California. But what's the infrastructure like? I mean, with the situation, having these quakes, what have you all done as far as infrastructure to make sure that your people are, the people that are, everybody's, the houses are not going to fall apart and things of that nature.
Yeah.
I've been curious to ask that, because whenever we've heard of a large earthquake, it's like you guys get those large ones or have had them. So is it because you're part of the Ring of Fire, or what's the deal with that?
It's a good question. We've had the largest recorded in Valdivia, 9.2, and then we had number 2, 8.8 in not so many years ago. Then Japan beat us. That's not a good competition with the second biggest, now with number 3. But I collaborated in a book published by Stanford with my cousin and other professors from Wharton on the leadership lessons from the earthquake. We had a big earthquake in Chillán, close to where I am now, in the 30s and the 40s, and we changed our code of construction and everything. This is the Nazca plate from the ocean getting into the Andes beneath, and when we release energy, and we have one big earthquake every 10 years in central, north, or southern Chile, and one every 30 years in one of those 3 places. We have all houses have to be insured by against earthquakes. We practice drills in schools. The constructor of the houses become liable for 20 years to the house, and an earthquake will hit those 20 years, so they become liable for the construction. And all of those things mean that we have these big earthquakes, and not much comes down. Of course, you come to Chile and try to find an historical building, and there's none because they all fell down in the 60s, or I mean, in the 1600s, 1700s, they fell down, 1800. But that's what we do, and we keep improving that now with the tsunamis and the early warnings on cell phones. Now you can receive messages. There's actually a company that I work with, and it's good for Mexico more than Chile, but the speed of the cell phone is faster than the traversing earthquake to you. So if you have sensors in the place and you're not so close to the earthquake, let's say 100 kilometers away, your phone will tell you there's an earthquake about to happen and give you a few seconds to do something. And that's part of the innovation and the ongoing thing with earthquakes. When we have I've seen disputes on TV and in public media. When there's a 7.8 earthquake, people will say, that's a tremble, that's not so bad, it's not an earthquake. We have all this discussion because we are so high in the Richter scale that we kind of, we don't even move out of the bed if it's 7.5, but that's because we are under good construction or construction people that are they're law-binded the way that things are constructed. I don't know how it's in California, yeah, Chile is very similar to California, by the way. It's your West Coast turned upside down. with deserts, with central, with it is the same weather too, same fires, all the good and bad of the Mediterranean dry weather.
Yeah, I know they're trying to do it. I think they're testing a system here of the same what you were just saying. Like if a quake is about to hit you, they'll send out the warning and you have a few seconds to which I don't think is enough. I feel like you need to give us 5 minutes, but okay, a few seconds. I think they're working on that. I think from what I heard, they were doing a trial run somewhere. I'm not sure where, but I think it's trying to come here. So that's interesting to hear about that. The infrastructure, the fact that you have to have insurance, the fact that, yeah, that's really interesting and helps to protect, I think, people when they're in that situation. So yeah. Thank you so much, Aldo. I really appreciate it.
No worries. I don't know if there's any other question or not.
Thank you. Dr. Boitano, this has been an amazing conversation, and we're so grateful for your leadership in this sector, willing to give back to the university, and also being so kind with your time with us. We know it's a little bit late over there.
No, I'm happy. I miss Pepperdine a lot. I hope to get on a plane and be there soon. And a big hug to the whole community, everyone. Thank you, Brittany, for your questions, Dr. Miramontes, Sonia, Asia. I really enjoyed it. And I can send you more stuff for your school, Brittany. Just shoot me a mail. I can help you, or if you want me to be online for one of your classes, me or other people, happily will do so.
Yeah.
Alejandra, did you have a question, Alejandra?
I do. If we have time, I can ask one really quick.
Yeah. Go, Alejandra.
Yes, Dr. Aldo, mucho gusto. I just wanted to ask you, as a Latino, could you briefly tell us what is one challenge that you still have, one constant challenge that you still have? And then also, can you tell us one thing that you're extremely proud of being a part of the Latino culture?
The one challenge is always the visas and the customs and all those things. And if it's not for me, for somebody else related to me, it's an ongoing thing. They're very nice at the borders and everything, but just the visas and the green cards, or I live in the US under various visas, the E1 visa, the H1B visa, the F1 visa now for being a student. That's always hard and challenging, and it's very bureaucratic. And then the thing I'm always proud of is to have all these mountaineering things that I've done as a good excuse to get to know the person in front of me as an opening door. But and mountaineering, just like getting a degree and everything, is not the actual goal. It's the road to get there. It's the process. So mountaineering allows me to talk about the process. And climbing a mountain is not different from getting a degree, for forming a family, for teaching in a school. It's the same human beings who we're doing something. Maybe mountaineering, and especially famous big mountain like K2, is more visible, but that allows me to connect and start a conversation. That is never about mountains. It goes somewhere else, a conversation, and I enjoy that always, to get to know people with that excuse.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Welcome.
much. At this time, I want to ask
Gracias a ti, Alejandra. Yeah, please.
Muchas gracias.
I just wanted to ask Dr. Miramontes to share about our upcoming events. If you love Dr. Aldo's keynote, we will have several other events forthcoming this entire month. And so we want you to also get involved in these events. So Dr. Miramontes?
Hi. So thank you all for coming. I think at this point, all of you in the room pretty much know me. We are excited and grateful for all of our speakers who are speaking this month. There's a series of events. I think we have like, I don't know, about 7 or 8. We're going to post the link here in chat in case anyone is interested in attending the rest of our events. I know people are starting to trickle off just because of the time. But this year, our goal really is to celebrate our various communities, not just the Latino community, obviously. It's our first annual Latino community heritage celebration because it starts at the beginning of the term, and we kind of jumped in and said we're going to do it this year. And we've had such an amazing turnout of speakers and experiences. So we have a few more virtual events. That link gives you the list of all of them. We're also doing lunch and learn with Dr. Dr. Reina Garcia Ramos on site at Pepperdine on the 30th. We're going to be providing lunch, so if you're interested in stopping by and seeing us all. We're also doing a Day of the Dead workshop where we're going to provide Mexican hot chocolate and Mexican street bread. And then we're going to have you build mini altars, if you will, with a little bit of history and background and understanding what the hype is around Day of the Dead if you don't already know it. And being of Mexican descent, I'm partial to Day of the Dead. So, you know, I was like, any opportunity to celebrate it, why not? So join us if you have the time. There's a lot of great speakers coming up. We have our own faculty on the education side. We have Dr. Vigil, Dr. Garcia Reina Ramos. We have Dr. Gallardo, who is the head of the Aliento program on the psychology side. We have a panel coming up on Monday that's made up of alum, students, and staff. Which will give us a really unique perspective into the belonging work that we're doing at GSEP, because we hold this material valuable and believe in this stuff. And then we have a guest speaker, an outside guest speaker, coming and talking to us about what it means to be a Latina going from the foster care system in the United States to higher ed and her journey. So thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you, Dr. Boitano. Aldo, for everything.
Oh, you're welcome, please.
And you'll all be hearing about the Chile trip. It's immersive. He's going to take you up mountains. I'll probably find a way to meet you all up there because I don't know that I can climb the mountains. But and experiencing the culture and the experience. So again, thank you all for attending. Please join us again and have a wonderful evening.